My name's Bryan McMillan. I'm a 2000 and 2002 grad from the Johns Hopkins Carey Business School. Business in both cases. I did undergrad with Carey and then did my MBA with Carey. Right now, I am the director of Division Business Operations for one of our divisions at Northrop Grumman, located right in Baltimore. Mentorship provides an opportunity for alumni like myself to give back to the next generation of folks entering the workforce. The great thing about mentoring is it's kind of a two-way street. Not only does it provide the mentee with the benefit of our experience, because we made a lot of mistakes along our own career paths, but we also learn from them by the questions that they raise and the things they make us think about, of the thoughts that are like inspiring them. It kind of lets us question our own path sometimes, which is super helpful. I firmly believe that no matter how busy we are, we have to find time for our fellow Blue Jays. Connecting with the Fly program has really been important to me because many of the students that are coming in through that organization don't have the established or built-in networks available to them that many of us have had in the past. These resources are hard to come by. They're not second nature for some of them. So I find it's very important for those of us that have certain priorities to allow us to pay that forward for them. The best advice I can always give is to set expectations at the beginning. It's important for the mentee to share what they are expecting out of the relationship, but also for the mentor to set certain guardrails, if you will, of the type of information they're willing to share, the amount of time that they're willing to give. How often are you going to connect? Can you find a role for them in the company, or is it more reviewing resumes, or sometimes just even being someone that they can talk to freely about concerns they're having in school or in their life, or perhaps even at an internship or a job offer they've gotten. I've always been a proponent of alumni becoming mentors, because no matter where we are, we definitely haven't gotten there alone. Whether it's been a parent or a professor giving you some advice, or even a nudge on something that you think you haven't been ready to take on, but they've convinced you to do so. Many of us are privileged in our careers coming out of Hopkins, and those were directly shaped by our time on campus and the connections we've made along the way. So it's almost an obligation for us to give back and help others on the way up. So I've loved mentoring, whether it was formally or informally, from the first time I was introduced to it. But specifically with One Hop mentoring, again, as I mentioned earlier, it's really been for me connecting with the Fly students. But it's often very humbling for me to have these discussions with these students, because I'll ask for their resumes beforehand, or I'll peruse their LinkedIn profiles. And the amount of efforts and experiences that they've already gone through by the time they become students at Hopkins is somewhat terrifying, because I always wonder, could I ever get back into Hopkins if I was applying at this point? But it's really hard sometimes that we can't mentor everyone that comes up and looking for advice. So the more alumni we have available, the more students we can serve. Yeah, it's almost cliche to say that we learn both ways, but it really does happen. As I kind of mentioned earlier, it's humbling often to talk to many of these students, to see the plans that they have laid out for themselves. Often are goals that I never would have imagined in my life. And as I look back, I can't always imagine I'd be where I am today. And again, the questions that get posed really represent a level of thinking that sometimes I wonder maybe I didn't have when I came in as a first year. But very often they're in different fields of study, which broadens my experience. One of my most recent mentees was in the space industry, which at Northrop we do have a very large component that deals with space work, but I haven't been exposed to that. And so I learned a lot of terminology, a lot of different things from kind of coworker relationships that were happening at where this particular student was interning. So yeah, it always brings new insights that I can bring to my own teams at work.